Hello and welcome to the programme which looks at the Holy Land. I am Paul Calvert. Exodus 5 verse 1 from the New King James Bible says this: Afterwards Moses and Aaron went in and told Pharaoh, Thus says the Lord God of Israel, Let my people go, that they may hold a feast to me in the wilderness. I'm with Rebecca Brimmer from Bridges for Peace here in Jerusalem. Now Rebecca, what is Bridges for Peace?
So we're a Christian organization that is supportive of Israel and is trying to build relationships between Christians and Jews, really all over the world, but also here in Israel.
Now we're seeing conflict break out in Ukraine. Bridges for Peace has responded to the conflict. What are you doing?
Well, first of all, we've already had a network in Ukraine, and in fact, all over the Soviet Union. We've helped 86,000 people make Aliyah in the last 25 years. So we already had boots on the ground with our Christian partners there. So immediately, as soon as we heard the news of the first shots, we got in touch with our network and asked them exactly what they needed and how we could help.
Wow, so this has made it easier for you to respond because you've already got a network there?
Yes, we've already got a network there, and we're also well known throughout Israel because of working here with so many NGOs and government agencies, because we give food to 24,000 people every month here in Israel. So we're well connected both with the Jewish world and also with the Christian world in the former Soviet Union, and that really made it easier for us to start immediately. In fact, when the first bombs were going off, we were on an outing with our staff to see the beautiful flowers down near the Gaza Strip. And we had some Ukrainian people on our staff, and all of a sudden they're coming to me with their phones and showing me live videos. Friends send, and immediately I got in touch with our head guy, Victor, in Kyiv, and with the guy Mel that's overseeing the whole operation there. We call it Project Rescue. And I was amazed, because none of our workers, we call them fishers because of Jeremiah 16, none of them left. In fact, they were all offered to go to safety, go to another country, and not a single one left because they said, you know what, this has been our calling from God to help the Jewish people come home, and why would we leave now in the hour of greatest need?
So you have people there on the ground in Ukraine. Are you hearing stories from them?
We're hearing some, although the communication from them is very, very, very weak. I know our guy in Moldova, he has been absolutely overwhelmed. In fact, 1,300 people have been helped by this small group in Moldova on the border to come to Israel. And in fact, their vehicle wasn't adequate. They were picking people up, taking them to the Jewish agency, taking them to people that could get them on the planes. And it was overwhelmed. So we bought a vehicle in Moldova. That was one of the first things we did, is to get a vehicle so that they actually could get to where they're going.
Is it difficult for them to actually get out of Ukraine and here to the land of Israel?
Yes, many, many difficulties. In fact, the railway seems to be one of the most secure ways to get out because bridges have been bombed. If you try to get out with your car, you sometimes can't even get from one city to the next. People have fled from cities into the country. Some of the people that we've been hearing stories about have ended up walking. People are arriving at the borders with hungry, hypothermia, many, many problems because not just they're traumatized, which they're all traumatized, but they're hungry.
Are there many organizations helping the people of Ukraine at the moment?
I believe so. From what I've been given to understand, there's a lot of people that are stepping up. Now, our special interest is to try to help the Jewish people come home, because that's been part of what Bridges for Peace has been involved in all along, is to bring back the people from the diaspora, help them be established here in the land. So we've also partnered with some major Jewish organizations. So we've partnered with Karen HaYesod in order to bring the people back on the planes. And I had the opportunity to go to the airport the other night and greet people coming, 140 people on the plane. It was very striking because there were almost no men. Ukraine has said anyone between the ages of 18 and 60 has to stay and fight. There were almost no teenage girls either. There was mothers with young children, middle school children, and old people. And as they walked off of that plane, there was just a real weariness. I felt like they were just so exhausted. And then there was this whole feeling of sadness. Because all of these women with the responsibility of children arriving in a new country, leaving a war-torn reality, none of them know if or when they'll see their husbands again. I imagine there will be many, many widows that Israel will be caring for in the coming years.
It must be quite emotional for you, was it, to see these people come back to the land of Israel?
Very emotional. On a lighter note, I'm a dog owner, and our dog is a member of our family. And so it was interesting to me to see that several people came off of the plane with crates in hand with their pets. And I thought, isn't that wonderful? Here they're fleeing for their lives, but they didn't abandon their furry friends. And so I asked the stewardess at the end, I said, how many animals did you actually have in the cabin? She said, we had 7, 4 dogs, 3 cats, and 1 chicken. Wow. So I personally thought that a great, funny headline would have been, Ukrainian chicken makes aliyah. I'm not sure whether it was making sure that there was dinner or breakfast, or if it was just a pet.
Yeah. Obviously, there's sanctions in Russia as well. Do you think there'll be an exit of Russian Jews too coming to the land of Israel?
That's what I've been told. Already there's been plane loads, although yesterday I heard that Russia is taking steps to limit the exodus of Jews from Russia. So I'm not sure what's going on. I have heard that the Prime Minister of Israel, when he went to Russia, that was one of the things he asked Putin, was to let the Jewish people come out freely. But I'm hearing mixed messages, so I'm not sure what's going to happen there. We do have Russian Christian friends, and they are expressing to us that life is becoming very difficult in Russia. And I'm not against the Russian people. There are many wonderful Russian people, many wonderful Christians in Russia that we really need to pray for because their ruble is going through the floor. Yeah.
Do you think it's significant that we're coming up to Passover very soon, in the next month or so, and also people are, let my people go, people are leaving the land to come back to Israel at this particular time?
Of course I do. When I was a teenager, and I'm in my 60s now, so that's a long time ago, my dad was very active as a Christian minister for the release of the Russian Jews. This was before the Iron Curtain fell. And I remember as a child wearing T-shirts that said, "Let my people go." And I also remember as a teenager seeing my first films of the actual footage of the Holocaust and being so torn and crying and saying to my dad, why didn't more Christians do something? And he says, well, we don't really understand how difficult it was. But I'm reminded of that today because I realize that today there are people at risk. Today there are Jewish communities at risk. And it's not just in Ukraine. It's also in Russia, as you mentioned, but it's also in Ethiopia where there's a civil war going on. There's also Jewish people in Burma that are caught in that civil conflict. So I have really had a sense of importance for the hour that we couldn't save the Jews of the Holocaust era. I wasn't alive. You weren't alive. But what is God saying to us now? What is our responsibility now when there are, again, Jewish communities at risk? So we're doing everything we can on many different fronts to be able to rescue them.
Is this a fulfillment of biblical prophecy, do you think?
I think there's so much fulfillment of biblical prophecy actually going on around us. And the other day, I got a wonderful gift. I loved it. In fact, it's probably the best gift I've gotten in years. And it was one of those little tin coin containers that Jewish people had in their homes during the time of the state being born and all through the years. They're called tzedakah boxes, which is charity boxes, and they have a map of Israel on them and a flag of Israel. And I thought to myself, I said, why do I like this so much? Why did I want this so much? And then I realized that there is a partnership that happens between God and men. So all through the prophets, we see the prophecies about the Jewish people coming back. We see God promising them that they would have their state again and that he would bring them back. And he didn't want to leave any behind. That's in the book of Ezekiel. And yet, God uses people like me and people like you. People, Jewish people with those little boxes sitting on their counters in their kitchens in the United States or in the UK or in Australia who were putting coins in it to rebuild Zion, just like the Lord said he would do. He says, I will build Zion and then I will be seen in my glory. So, yes, I see there's a partnership between God and man, and he's giving us the opportunity to partner with him to bring about the promises that he said he would do. And that little box for me symbolized that it's our part that we play to help God as he is bringing about his prophetic word.
Now, there's talk about peace talks here in Jerusalem. Is Israel a good peace broker for this situation?
I haven't a clue. I think that Prime Minister Naftali Bennett is acting with good faith and is trying to be a peace broker, but it's really dependent on all the parties, and it's hard to predict the future, isn't it?
Because Israel is the city of peace, it would be great to see peace come from Jerusalem.
It would be wonderful. And of course, as Christians, we pray for the peace of Jerusalem. And I love the Hebrew language. And of course, the word shalom, which is translated peace, that word in the Psalms could actually be shalem, which is wholeness or completeness. And so when I pray for the peace of Jerusalem, I'm not just praying for a cessation of violence. I'm praying for a wholeness, a spiritual, holistic situation where Jerusalem really is a haven of God's peace.
Now, you have a distribution center here. Are you expecting to be inundated with Ukrainian Jews coming home?
We already are. So we have relationships with 23 different municipalities as well as many NGOs. And one of those is the city of Carmiel, where we have an office as well. And the city there has been in touch with us in the last couple of days with urgent on their emails. They're receiving 300 immigrants, and they have nothing prepared for them. So we're right now getting quotes for blankets and sheets and towels. And the place that they're going to put them is apparently a 5-story building. So they've also asked for 5 microwaves, 5 vacuum cleaners, and 5 computers because they want people to be able to continue to communicate with people outside of Israel. And I expect that every single one of the towns that we have relationships are going to be sending those kinds of letters to us in the next few days. In fact, our team is actually contacting them and saying, what are you expecting? What are your needs? And I believe that Christians around the world will step up to help meet those needs.
You've been doing this for many years, so is this just very easy for you naturally just to be able to do this and help and supply these Jews coming from Ukraine at this time?
Yes and no. We have the know-how to do it. We have the logistical teams in place. We know where to buy things. So that's easy. We know how to do that. And we have this network of Christians all over the world who we know respond well. So that part is easy. But what is hard is to see the heartache, to see the pain, to know that so many people are still needing to be rescued, and that there's people all over Ukraine right now who don't know how to get to safety. There's people that don't have food. There's places where there's no electricity. That is hard, to feel that pain and feel in some ways that you can't meet the needs fast enough. That's the hard part for me.
Will people be coming from Ukraine with nothing?
Yes. In fact, most people are coming with a small bag because they had to get into those trains. Now, I've been on those trains. They seem to me to be dating back to probably the 50s. I went in the high-class car, and it was threadbare. I mean, it was a little tiny aisle with 2 bunks on either side and fold-down bunk beds atop, and that was your sleeper car. And what I've been told is that small little room, which my husband and I knocked knees when we were sitting together on the opposite bunks, that they're cramming 20 people into each one of those little sleeper cars just to get people out of the danger. So there's no room. They're telling people no luggage. There's no room for luggage. If you put 20 people in, I don't even know how it's possible to get 20 people into one of those little cars. But there's no luggage. So people are coming with a backpack. People with babies, there's no room for strollers. You know, they're carrying them in their arms. And one person that I heard from said that the train trip was something like 18 to 20 hours, and they were jammed so closely together they can hardly move. Of course, this brings back thoughts of other times when Jews were packed on train cars. So yeah, very, very difficult.
So bridges is a very important lifeline at this particular moment in time.
We're one of a chain of things that God is using. I believe that our work is important, and I believe that it's God ordained, and I believe that He placed us in a position to be able to meet needs for such a time as this. I mentioned the Holocaust. I wasn't alive, but I'm alive today, and so I'm going to do everything we can to meet those needs.
It's a very, very sad situation, but it also must be very exciting for the fact that you can actually help these people get back to the land and be in safety at the same time.
I love that. Yeah. I love it that we can partner with God to bring His people home to the land of Israel. It's wonderful. Yes, I don't love it that they're suffering, but I love it that He's placed Christians like us in a place to be able to help.
Why do you do this work?
I do it because I love God, and I love His Word. I'm a Bible believer, and I feel called to it. I don't know what to say. I'm not motivated just for human suffering. I'm motivated because I want to touch the heart of God.
Mm-hmm. And what's your prayer, finally, for the people of Ukraine, for Jews that are fleeing at this particular moment in time?
So I'm praying that God will lead them and guide them, that they'll find the right people that will help them on each step of the way. I'm praying that they'll have food. I'm praying that they won't be sick. I'm praying that they won't die on the way. So I'm praying that we can help them.
You have a great setup here, and you're already helping Ukrainian Jews. If people would like to give, what's your website for people who'd like to know more about your work?
Yes, the website is www.bridgesforpeace.com. And we're happy to help anyone be part of this great miracle.
Okay, Rebecca, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. Pray that God will move by His mighty power in the Holy Land and bring His peace.